This is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Jarvis Bunny with your VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, July 17th, 2019. In our lead stories nationally, St. Kitts and Nevis signs 153rd visa waiver agreement, and GSS teacher first ever recipient of Bonita Morgan Memorial Scholarship. Regionally, Puerto Rico's governor called on to resign amid corruption and scandal. Internationally, Turkish diplomat shot dead in Iraqi Kurdistan. And in sports, PSG chairman threatens Neymar with solo training and no football until 2022. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back on the one to the national news in detail. The permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United Nations, His Excellency Sam Conda, signed a visa waiver agreement with permanent representative of Georgia, His Excellency Misakaha Imnantz, to grant visa-free access between the two countries. Holders of diplomatic, official and ordinary passports are permitted entry without a visa into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and Georgia for a period not exceeding 90 days in a 180-day period according to the agreements. The ceremony took place in New York on Monday, July 15th, where the permanent representatives discussed areas for bilateral cooperation. This step to further strengthen relations would facilitate hassle-free movement of persons from both nations and the building of new relationships. Georgia becomes the 153rd nation with which St. Kitts and Nevis have established visa-free entry relationships within recent times. A teacher at Gingerland Secondary School GSS here on Nevis, who has a history of success in preparing students for the Caribbean Tourism Organization CTO's Tourism Youth Congress, has been selected as the first ever recipient of the Bonita Morgan Memorial Scholarship. According to OneCaribbean.org, Nevision Felicia Walters was chosen by the CTO Scholarship Foundation for the scholarship named in honor of the organization's former head of human resources, Bonita Morgan, who passed away in April 2018. She is also pursuing a master's degree in tourism management at Colorado State University in the United States. This year, the foundation granted 5 scholarships and 5 study grants, which is to the tune of approximately US $35,000 from a list of over 60 applications. CTO Scholarship Foundation is a 501c3 entity established in 1997 with the aim of training and developing future leaders for the Caribbean tourism industry by funding studies in tourism and tourism-related subjects. Manager of VON Radio, Mr. Everett Weber Herbert, continues to receive recognition for his sterling contribution to the people of Nevis. On Tuesday, 16 July, Mr. Herbert was presented with a certificate for his involvement in the Emmanuel Richards Summer Football Program, which is into its 15th year. The certificate was presented by founder of the program, Mr. Emmanuel Richards.
About 2002, I've been to some places and I've seen where some youngsters are just been in people's yard, taking their mangoes and so on, but throwing stones at the owners. We as youngsters had our time back then, but we never did that. So I decided to get on with this program. I went and I spoke to Carl Tuckett, so he was going to do cricket and I did with the football. And then we went around and asked for a few sponsors and did look for a few coaches. Mr. Everett Weber Herbert, he was the first to raise his hand and said, listen, I would come and help with the coaching. We started out with about 4 children, but that was just the start. But the following year, the numbers start growing. And I'm here today just to give Mr. Weber a certificate of appreciation, to thank him.
Mr. Richards, in speaking with the VON Newsline, also paid tribute to other individuals and sponsors who have been instrumental in making the program what it is today. He also noted that the program serves as a deterrent against youth-on-youth crime and violence.
This program actually designed to, because with all these children coming from different schools around the island, we cut down the gangs, everybody be able to make friends, cut down the gangs and crimes, you know, so that's why we are trying to work as hard to keep this thing down.
Mr. Emmanuel Richards. The Cultural Village is set to open on Saturday, July 20th, 2019. The Executive Director of the Culturama Secretariat here at Nevis is Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert.
There will not be an official opening ceremony per se for the opening of the Cultural Village. What would happen is that the operators, the boat operators at the Cultural Village would commence their vending or their operations at the venue.
The festival, dubbed the Caribbean's greatest summer lime, is into its 45th year, and coupled with the opening will be another activity.
We will have the National Bank, Groovy and Power Soca Monarch semi-finals. And that is going to be happening 8 o'clock at the Cultural Village, and the cover charge for that event is only $20.
Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert. The 12 artists vying for a spot in the finals are Ovika, X-Man, Divi, Savage, Lil Miss, Pakis, Lady Hammond, Soca Empress, Hollywood, Etodan and Badman Polo. The festival, which officially begins on Thursday, July 25th, 2019, has as its theme Love, Passion, Pride, Culturama 45. Minister of Tourism in St. Kitts, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, has reaffirmed his position regarding the issue of the missing 75 music festival tickets. Last month, the organizing committee of the St. Kitts Music Festival confirmed that they and the police were investigating the situation and that the general admission tickets were illegally taken. The festival was held from Wednesday, June 26th to Sunday, June 30th. At a press conference hosted by the St. Kitts Music Festival Committee today, Minister Grant provided an insight about the situation.
My position still stands that there is one of collective responsibility. We are accountable to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for the funds collected or not collected by us. And so, because of our accountability to you, the general public, somebody has to be accountable, and it is one of collective responsibility. And so the decision was taken that there are a small number of persons who are in direct contact with the tickets, and each and every one individually and collectively is responsible for those tickets. And hence the reason for my comment that those who are responsible for those tickets are accountable to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for that.
The Honorable Lindsay Grant. According to the Minister, the matter is still under investigation and the tickets were valued at 10,000 EC dollars. The 2019 edition of Restaurant Week will commence tomorrow, Thursday, July 18th and end on July 20th, 2019. The event, now into its 5th year, has coconut as its key ingredient. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism here at Nevis, Mr. John Hanley, spoke to the VOA Newsline about the places that will take part in the event.
We have on Nevis some 15 restaurants who have signed up to participate in this event. They are Bourgeois Place, that's downtown Charlestown, Sunshine's Bar and Grill at Pinners, Lime Beach Bar and Grill, Nisbet Plantation, Wally Beach Resort, the Hermitage, Buddy's Cafe, the Gin Trap, Yachtsman's Grill, Montpelier Plantation and Beach, Rodney's Cuisine, Weekends Bar and Grill, Wilma's Diner, Esme's Sunrise, that's over at Eden Brown, and Ubranta's.
Mr. Hanley made mention of 3 main events.
On Saturday, that's this Saturday the 20th, we have the Restaurant Week Tasting Showcase. So most of these restaurants will be allowing you to sample their menus in advance, and you can do so for a very low price of 25 EC dollars or 10 US. And tickets for this event, they're on sale at the Ministry of Tourism office at the Social Security building, or if it is more convenient for you, you can go to the Nevis Tourism Authority office downtown next to the post office. On Tuesday the 23rd, we also have a wine tasting class at the Hermitage. Now, we only have a limited number of spaces, probably for about 20 persons. On Friday the 26th at Rodney's Cuisine, for the 3rd time, she will be having what she calls Taste the Tradition.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism here at Nevis, Mr. John Handley. And lastly, in our national news segment, women empowerment here in St. Kitts and Nevis. That is one of the aspirations of the President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, Her Excellency Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, who made her first official state visit to St. Kitts and Nevis. President Tsai believes that her election as the 14th President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, can only serve to inspire the next generation of female leaders globally and further promote gender equality. Speaking to the local media at the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park, she indicated that her election as the first female president was a reflection of the success of Taiwan's democracy. The Taiwanese president, who holds a PhD in law from the London School of Economics, indicated that shortly after her election there were no doubts about her ability to lead the country effectively. She further indicated that more than 3 years later, she believes she has successfully put those doubts to rest. President Tsai is also of the view that her success at the polls on May 20th, 2016 showed the progress of the people of Taiwan in overcoming the difficulties of discrimination against women. On Monday, July 15th, Governor General His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton conferred the Order of St. Christopher Nevis on Her Excellency Dr. Tsai Ing-wen. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. To swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back on to the regional news. Out of Puerto Rico, President of Puerto Rico's Federation of Mayors, Carlos Molina, says the federation has withdrawn its confidence in Governor Ricardo Rossello and that the institution is demanding the governor's resignation amid high-profile arrests of several individuals linked to numerous corruption cases and a report that revealed how Rossello manipulated political opposition and frequently used racist and macho language with advisors to carry out the scheme. President of the Association of Mayors, Mr. Jose Ablu, added that Mr. Rossello's resignation is not for the PNP, but the country. The latest scandal involves the July 10, 2019 arrest of 6 people closely linked to his administration, 2 of the most notable being former Health Insurance Administration Director Angela Avila Morello and former Department of Education Director Julia Kelleher. The arrests were carried out by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, as part of a probe that uncovered a widespread scheme involving several agencies to bypass regular bidding processes for government contracts. The charges in the Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI indictment included money laundering, theft, wire fraud, wire fraud and conspiracy. Out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the first set of licenses to start production of medicinal cannabis in the country have been issued. The journey over the past 20 years to put the legislative and administrative frameworks in place was certainly one of the most difficult yet gratifying tasks I have had the opportunity to lead in my career it was not without major challenges, said Minister of Agriculture and Industry Sabato Caesar as he made the announcement. He said the step-by-step policy guidance from Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves and the significant support received from his cabinet and parliamentary colleagues at different stages of the preparatory work had contributed to the successful opening of the industry. The Rastafarian community was also identified by the minister as a central pillar of strength in guiding the interaction over the period of consultation. Throughout the process, religious leaders, civil society, and international legal and business experts participated in a very open and transparent consultation process to identify and outline the potential strengths and weaknesses of the different models. This included a reliance on knowledge in certification and commodity trading from companies such as Bunny Imports and Exports of Trinidad and Tobago. In Dominica, the European Union has committed to support Dominica's renewable energy sector. The two recently signed an agreement that will make EC $7.91 million available to the Eastern Caribbean nation to assist in increasing the resilience of strategic infrastructure, strengthening the competitiveness and the resilience of the energy sector, and implementing the island's international commitments under the Paris Agreement. Among other activities, the support aims to render the country's international airport energy independent and disaster resilient through the installation of a solar power plant within the Douglas Charles Airport premises. The program is expected to run until 2022 and comes in addition to the ongoing programs that the European Union and the government of Dominica are implementing in the housing and post-disaster recovery sectors. And lastly, in our regional news segment, out of the Turks and Caicos Islands, 11 sergeants and inspectors of the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force (RT) and CIPF took part in a tactical firearms command course to develop command and leadership skills in the delivery of the tactical firearms command role. The 4-day workshop provided an overview of roles and responsibilities of command, positive command attributes, communication elements between command levels, the national decision model and the significance of the threat and risk assessment to decision-making, the roles of a negotiator, how to identify the progression of policing response to terrorist attacks and potential risks facing the emergency services, providing critical support, and how to identify means of continuous professional development. Deputy Commissioner of Police Trevor Botting, in congratulating the participants, spoke on the importance of the training that also saw 2 experienced commanders develop their training skills to continue the program locally. And that's the national news segment. That's our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back on to the international news. A Turkish diplomat has been shot dead at a restaurant in the Iraqi Kurdish city of Erbil, security sources have told the BBC. Turkey's deputy consul, who has said to have been dining with 2 other people, is reportedly among the dead. Sources say the 2 gunmen have fled the scene and Kurdish security forces have closed off the surrounding area. The BBC's Mark Lowen reports.
Reports say that the 3 were eating in a restaurant in Erbil, close to the Turkish consulate, when unknown gunmen opened fire. Turkish media is reporting that one of the 3, the Deputy Consul General, was killed in what appeared to be a targeted terrorist attack. Erbil has been largely spared the clashes with the Islamic State group that engulfed other areas of Iraq. Earlier this month, IS released a video announcing the formation of a Turkey branch with a direct threat against President Erdogan. No group has yet said it carried out this attack.
The World Health Organization has begun a meeting to assess whether the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo now constitutes an international public health emergency. Over 1,600 people have died in the current outbreak, making the 2nd worst ever. The BBC's Imogen Folks reports.
The deal brings Sudan closer to civilian rule, but the military will in the...
A case of Ebola in Goma, a city of 1 million people bordering Rwanda, and now a further case in neighbouring Uganda, are warnings the disease could be about to spread across a much wider area. Declaring an international emergency would introduce more checks at airports and borders, but might also be a disincentive to trade and investment. Governments in affected countries worry about economic damage. An international health emergency is viewed as a last resort.
Sudan's ruling military council and opposition leaders have signed the power-sharing accord after all-night talks. It is a historic moment for the country, the deputy head of Sudan's ruling military council, Mohamed Hamdan Hemeti Dagalo, is quoted as saying by AFP news agency. Sudan has been in turmoil since the military ousted President Omar al-Bashir in April. The BBC's Ann Soy reports.
The deal brings Sudan closer to civilian rule, but the military will in the interim still play a big role. A general will head the government for the first half of a 3-year transition period. After that, a civilian leader should take over before elections are held. But after decades of brutal rule, many Sudanese are distrustful of the military. It doesn't help that the generals are now insisting on getting immunity from prosecution. The opposition groups have rejected that proposal, and the stalemate is holding the signing of a final deal.
And the U.S. House of Representatives has voted to condemn President Donald Trump after a series of attacks aimed at 4 congresswomen. The symbolic resolution denounced Mr. Trump's racist comments that have legitimized fear and hatred of new Americans and people of color. Mr. Trump had been accused of racism and xenophobia for telling the members of Congress to leave the country. The president has since tweeted, "I don't have a racist bone in my body." Tuesday's debate in the Democratic-controlled chamber was a highly polarized debate, with various Republicans insisting the vote itself was a breach of decorum. It passed by 240 votes to 187. And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
First Cover is TDC Insurance's special motor insurance package for first-time motor vehicle owners. We at TDC Insurance understand that as a new vehicle owner, you may not have a no-claims discount. With First Cover, we consider your driving experience, age, and accident history, which allows you to receive up to 45% off your first motor insurance premium. And to make it easier, we offer attractive financing options to suit your pocket. Sit back and relax. We'll help you get the protection you need. At TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
Welcome back, and now on to the sports. In football, Paris Saint-Germain chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi has lost his patience with Neymar's ongoing attempts to leave the club, threatening the Brazilian with solo training sessions and telling him he will not play again until 2022. Neymar has garnered plenty of attention this summer thanks to his desire to engineer a return to Barcelona. Following controversial comments by Neymar regarding the 6-1 victory over PSG while he was at Barca, the chairman is said to have lost it. According to a report from El País, Al-Khelaifi threatened the 26-year-old with solo training sessions at Paris, as well as no football until his contract expired in 2022. Neymar is yet to return to the League One champions' scheduled pre-season training sessions, which began last Monday, after remaining in Brazil to work on his NJR Institute project in Sao Paulo, for which the club have opened disciplinary proceedings against him. In response, the forward has claimed that former sporting director Antero Henrique granted him permission to miss the first week of training before his departure. Still in football, Newcastle United has appointed Steve Bruce as their head coach on a 3-year contract. Former Sunderland manager Bruce, 58, resigned as Sheffield boss on Monday following talks with the Magpies at the weekend. Newcastle has been without a manager since Rafael Benitez left when his contract expired in June, saying the club did not share his vision. Bruce was born in Newcastle and was a boyhood Magpies fan. Bruce will be joined by coaches Steve Agnew and Stephen Clements, who have been part of his team at a number of previous clubs. In basketball, Russell Westbrook will leave behind an immense legacy at Oklahoma City Thunder after his move to Houston Rockets. The 30-year-old's trade to Houston was announced on Tuesday, with Chris Paul joining Thunder in return. Westbrook is an 8-time All-Star and 2-time NBA scoring leader. He was described as the most important player in the brief history of the Oklahoma City Thunder by General Manager Sam Presti. In a statement, Mr. Presti stated, "He has left an indelible mark on this team, city and state." Westbrook was named the NBA's most valuable team for the 2016-2017 season and won Olympic gold at London 2012. In April, he became the second player in NBA history to score a 20-20-20 triple-double. And lastly, in our sports segment, in cricket, Jason Roy has been named in England's test squad for the first time for the match against Ireland at Lord's, which starts on July 24th. Roy scored 443 runs as an opener in England's triumphant World Cup campaign, but is not a regular top-order batsman in red ball cricket. Somerset all-rounder Lewis Gregory has also been called up for the first time. England's leading test wicket taker James Anderson is also included despite injuring his calf earlier in July. Should he play, Roy is likely to open the batting with Surrey teammate Rory Burns, who made his test debut last winter. Fast bowlers Mark Wood and Geoffrey Archer were not considered for selection because both players have left side strains. A number of England's World Cup winners rested for the one-off test against Ireland have been included in a 16-man pre-Ashes training cup this weekend. And that's it for sports. The latest weather report is next. Welcome back. The weather tonight will continue to be partly cloudy with a 30% or a low chance of showers. The weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a 70% or a high chance of showers. The winds are east with speeds ranging between 19 and 33 kilometers per hour or 10 to 18 knots. The seas are 0.9 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:45 a.m. and the sunset tomorrow will be at 6:48 p.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, July 17th, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, St. Kitts and Nevis signs 153rd visa waiver agreement, and GSS teacher first ever recipient of Bonita Morgan Memorial Scholarship. Regionally, Puerto Rico's governor called on to resign amid corruption and scandal. Internationally, Turkish diplomat shot dead in Iraqi Kurdistan. And in sports, PSG chairman threatens Neymar with solo training and no football until 2022. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Bond wishing you a pleasant